A Christian, a Jew, and an atheist all walk into a bar, and they all said, ouch. That's the best it's going to get on this show. But these guys have much better jokes.
Atheists are such smug hypocrites, by the way. Atheists will be like, you pray to a God? That's so silly. Can I show you my vision board real quick?
The most successful atheist is Stephen Hawking, right? Who is a brilliant astrophysicist, also looks like a puddle.
We'll talk about it today on the show. My name is Reed Huberman. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this show. On the show, I try to give Christian commentary on cultural events because we're living in an age of bad ideas, and the cure for bad ideas are good ideas, and the best ideas are found in God's Word. I'll try to make that case today. Before I do that, I want to make sure that you know that today's show is sponsored by our friends over at UTAP. What do people typically do with business cards? Well, if you're in your car and you don't have a napkin, in a pinch, you can use your business card. But also, I think we know, most of the time business cards are just good for throwing away. That's because we live in a digital age and we need to market digitally. Everybody is using their phone. So our friends over at UTAP 2 can help you do just that. If you want to get the word out about your business or something that you're doing, you need to use utap2.com and their innovative technology. With their tag or their card, if you tap the front or back of a mobile device, you'll be whisked away to a URL that has every single point of contact that you could ever hope to share with anybody. And then you can save that to your phone so that it will never be thrown away. This is indeed the best way to market in the 21st century, and our friends over at UTAP2 can help you do that. So go to utap2.com, scroll through all the different options that they have to help you and your business or whatever it is that you're up to. And then when you check out, make sure to use the promo code IndieThinker10 for a discount on your order. On the show in the past, I've covered Pete Holmes, and some of the things that he has to say about religion is really interesting, but also his atheist joke about the nothing people is fantastic.
And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing.
Now, I won't go back into that, but perhaps that's probably my favorite joke. But today I have two brand new stars who are bringing the hits against the absurdity of atheism, Andrew Schultz and Neal Brennan. So we'll start with Schultz, and I will warn you, this is kind of a savage joke against atheism, but it is frankly funny. So check it out.
There's this other guy named Christopher Hitchens. I don't know if you guys have heard of Christopher Hitchens. He wrote a book called God Is Not Great. Anyway, so Christopher Hitchens, what he would do for a living, he would go around the world giving speeches about how God doesn't exist. And then he died recently. And you want to know what he died from? Vocal cord cancer. That sounds a lot like God going...
Now, let me be the first to say this, that atheists are far too happy to mock Christians relentlessly, but the one time that they get mocked, they are so thin-skinned that they will take their toys and go home, because many atheists object to the savagery of this joke. And I'll admit it is savage, but I also think it's funny. So it's just a joke. You can like it and go on your way, or you can dislike it and go on your way. But please, don't go around talking about how judgmental and mean-spirited Christians are when you guys are, quite frankly, the worst. And it's just a joke at the end of the day. But I'll go one step further and just agree with you, yes, that it is a savage joke. And the reason you think it's so savage is quite interesting, because likely you're positing, whether you know it or not, an idea, something like this. Human beings have intrinsic value, and we shouldn't mock people who are dead and mock their life-threatening injuries, because human beings deserve a level of dignity. My only question for you, atheist, is where does that dignity come from exactly? If human beings do have intrinsic value, as you want to suggest, I would love to know what source gives it that intrinsic value, because I know where it doesn't come from. It doesn't come from natural selection. If human beings are just meatballs in space, are just random accidents, then they don't have purpose and meaning. If that's true, then where do you actually root meaning? Now, I would love to hear from the atheists, and they don't need any invitation because they are quick to run to the comments section and post the most irrational stuff when they're actually questioned about their worldview, because they need very, very many miracles to justify their absurd worldview, whereas Christians just need one: the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Sure, we'll throw in the virgin birth there too, but life from non-life, the universe from nothing, conscience, meaning-seeking human beings from a mindless mechanical process, all of these things have to be explained by the atheist and never have. Maybe we should just admit to this one thing, that human beings are valuable, but like all things, that value is not self-inferred. That value comes from a higher source that provides that value for us. It's just that atheists don't have any way to root that value in anything rational, whereas you may think that the existence of God is irrational, but it is perfectly rational to believe that if God did exist, he is the only being that could truly provide the kind of value on a human life that truly treats human beings as though they were precious, which is why the vast majority of atheists are nihilistic, God-hating abortionists, and they're happy to lynch babies in the womb because they don't actually truly have a way to justify the belief that life is meaningful, that life has purpose, and that life has transcendent value. Now, there is one joke that I think I find even funnier than this because it is so right on, and this one's from Neal Brennan. Check it out.
Let's say I'm agnostic about my atheism, right? Atheists are such smug hypocrites, by the way. Atheists will be like, you pray to a God? That's so silly. Can I show you my vision board real quick? I know a lot of white atheists. I don't know many black atheists. Not none, just not many. I got a theory about why there's not many black atheists. Here goes. Atheism is really like the height of white privilege. It really is, because religion basically says, like, hey, can we interest you in an afterlife? And white people are like, oh, no, thank you. How much better could it be? I'll just take my supplements and see what happens, huh?
Atheism is white privilege. I absolutely love that. And I actually think there's a bit of truth to this, because the argument here to the contrary would be something like this. See, the people in the third world, they're primitive. That's why they hang on to their religious ideas. And that's why they're the most religious people. But us here in the first world, we're slowly but surely getting rid of the baggage of Christianity and our old superstitions. And the more we do that, the more sophisticated and elite we become. So we don't need a belief in God or the afterlife because we are so sophisticated. Well, if it's true that the third world is a bunch of ingrates and ignorant people, but in the first world we're sophisticated and educated, please explain the modern day academy to me. I would love to know where shouts of Free Palestine come from a group of people that couldn't even find it on a map. They couldn't find the river to the sea that they're talking about. They don't know what river and sea they're talking about, but they were happy to shout Free Palestine. Of course, modern man in America today cannot tell you if men can get pregnant. They cannot tell you if a baby in the womb is actually a baby or just a parasite. They cannot tell you if men should compete in women's sports. They do not know if gender roles exist. They constantly want to talk to you about white privilege, and, well, they're also suffering from a catastrophic birth rate decline because of their, let's just call them, sexual proclivities. Western man, sophisticated and educated. Let's just put it this way. Just because Western man is educated, it does not mean he is sophisticated nor wise. If nothing else, just know this: postmodernism has absolutely destroyed our society. And as a result of it, more and more people are wondering, well, if we can't trust postmodernism, if it's totally stripped us away from any real definitional understanding of anything, if every new progressive age we can redefine everything, then what can we actually hold on to? What foundation can we truly build a society upon? This is why Christianity is going to be quickly back on the rise. Bible sales are back up and at record highs. The Christian decline in America has totally stalled out, and we will see slowly but surely begin to start incrementally rising once again. People are returning to church in record number, and here's why. A progressive society bent upon atheism offers nothing, no hope, no meaning for life. It offers nothing other than godless nihilism, which is why anxiety, stress, and even ideation to hurt oneself is going up in the present. The less Christian we become, the less meaningful life is. Perhaps that old book, Collecting Dust on Your Shelf, can provide a sense of meaning to you and to your family and to the rearing of your children that is enduring for a society. Perhaps if we don't deconstruct our history, but rather look to it, we can learn something. Perhaps that Christianity provide individual rights, human rights, civil rights, and the intrinsic value of the human being. And it's good enough for the founding of this nation, and it's good enough for us today. Therefore, I would say, joke all you want to about atheism, it deserves it, and rekindle a love for the faith that made this country great. All right, thanks so much for watching. If the show was beneficial to you, you'll love becoming a member over at indiethinker.org/support, where you can gain access to exclusives like ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and documentaries that will help you take your Christian conservative worldview to the next level. Don't forget to check out the sponsors down below in the description of this podcast, but most importantly, go with God.